what's going on, fight fans? Hey, this is Coach D, the Wild Man, coming at you again with another episode of Coach D Media. Now, you know I do with Coach D Media. I talk about all things combat sports related, from the highs to the lows. All right, let's go ahead and get back into it. Today, we're going to have a conversation about our American athletes in a crisis and under attack. And what I mean by that, it is so comfortable that everybody wants to talk down on American athletes, especially if they're in a situation or in an interview or in a podcast or something pops up to where they want to go for the throat in their conversations about what they're talking about. Not so much in a bad way. Some are worse than others, but still they want to downplay American athletes in their conversation. And that's what we're going to talk about today, right? So first of all, we're going to talk about Islam, right? And basically what he said about American athletes are too distracted in America and they want fame more than they want to be a better fighter. Now, for the most part, I agree with that, okay? Now, the fact is that he felt comfortable in saying it on a podcast, which means what he said is stuck. You know, it's going to stick. It's going to be what they're going to use as clickbait and as the story of the day and why he say and all that kind of good stuff. So they're going to focus on that more so than the entirety of the interview, which also what I'm doing, because I'm taking it somewhere with it, right? But the flip side to that is that, yes, we want fame here in the United States, and you can make a whole bunch of money here in the States being famous and being a star, especially when it comes to fighting, boxing, MMA, you name it. If you're successful and you rise to the top to be a star, you're going to make a lot of money, right? But everybody knows that. Around the world, everybody knows that, right? Islam wouldn't be here to work for free. He wants to make money. He wants to make a lot of money, right? Hamzat came here and strictly said he's fighting in the States to make money. Khabib became a huge star, won a lot of money, and stopped fighting because he made enough money to where he doesn't have to fight. He is now famous, right? Everybody gets fame and things change. Conor McGregor was a killer in the beginning, got famous, now he ain't fighting. John Jones was a killer in the beginning, made a lot of money, famous, not fighting, right? Khabib was a killer in the beginning, made a lot of money, you're right, retired and stopped fighting. That's what happens in the United States when you start making a whole bunch of money. You don't want to get punched in the face anymore, right? But how he said it, he was saying that, you know, fighters from around the world like Russia, Dagestan, they're more focused on fighting is their main goal. If that's the case, then why are you coming to the States? You can fight everywhere. You can fight around the world, but you want to come fight in the States and you want to come fight in the UFC because you can make money. Then you're going to become famous, right? And then you don't want to train and fight as hard because you don't have to get punched in the face anymore. You have enough money in the bank to take care of your family and live a comfortable life. You suffer when you have to. You don't suffer because you want to, right? Or else you wouldn't have come in the UFC to where opportunities to make money are there, okay? And that's the big thing. You know, you want to say it, and I understand why you say it. There is no male American belt holders in the UFC right now. They're all from all other countries, right? Yeah, because they're hungry. They had to get to where they're at right now. All the fighters that got beaten and taken off were doing very well, making plenty of money. If at some point, it's hard to gear up when you don't have to and you just want to. That's not easy. That's not easy. But the fact is that he had no problem saying it. He said it on a podcast. It's going to stick out there. Now that's the story, right? Saying that fighters from other countries train harder than fighters in America, right? They're more disciplined. They're more this, that, and the other. We're too distracted. We want fame more than fighting. And a lot of that is true. A lot of that is true, okay? But the fact is, everybody wants to come here to America to make money and become famous. They're all coming. It ain't just some. They're all trying to get here. Everybody says, I want to compete in the UFC. Everybody says it, right? If you're fighting and you're trying hard in the local scene or you're from another country, you say, I want to fight in the UFC. Why? To make money. Period. So to say fighters in America want fame more than they want to be great fighters. They had to be great fighters first before they become famous in the UFC. You got to win. You got to win good. And you got to win at the right times with the right fights to be able to crash through to the top and start making money. There's a lot of people with undefeated records, right, who are doing great fighting wise, but you see they're not stars, they're not making money. But they have undefeated records. So you can't say that, right? You got to become a star first to make money, right? Or else you're just gonna be hungry for the rest of your life because to make real money you got to be a star. People got to want to tune in and watch you, buy tickets, and buy pay-per-views. That's what it comes down to. So that's why I was going with that is because, like I said, he wasn't trying to be mean or pick on American athletes, but we know why he was saying it, but he didn't say the other sides of that. Yeah, we all come to UFC to get famous. We all come here to make money, to make a lot of money, to be able to take care of our family and retire. That's why you're coming from other countries that are poorer. You come here because you're going to make more money. Say that part too. And he may have said it. I just didn't catch it. That clip is the one that's making the rounds. So that's what I'm responding to when it comes to Islam. Okay? Now here's how it goes left, right? Sha'carri Richardson, right, decide to call her boyfriend at the time a coward after assaulting him inside the airport, caught on camera. We all know this is going viral. It's still going viral because when she got caught, she didn't blame herself. She didn't blame the situation got out of hand. I did the wrong thing. No, she chose to call her boyfriend. I didn't write his name down. He's one of the most fastest athletes in track and field right now. Huge star when it comes to track. A coward, a weak person, a bad person. Try to blame him for all the things that went wrong with her. See how easy it was for her to throw him under the bus live because the cameras were on. Everybody was talking, everybody, it was getting recorded. She chose to target him, right, as the bad guy. He's the man. How come you ain't throwing him in jail? Look how easy it was for her to say that, knowing that it's being recorded, right? She couldn't just go, okay, let's get out of here. I'm embarrassed enough. Let me get out of here. Blah blah blah. She did a whole bunch of stuff, but she chose all that time to blame this whole situation on him. I got it in the phone. I can. You need to lock him out. I want to press charge it on him. Look how far she took it. Look how far she took it, right? Look how easy it was to say what she said. Look how easy it was. She didn't hesitate at all. She wasn't ashamed to say it. She didn't feel bad about saying it. She had no problem in saying it, right? No more than Islam had a problem. No more than there was a problem for Islam to say that American fighters are distracted, or they want to be more famous. They want to be great fighters. Same thing, just not as bad, right? It was easy for them to do, right? It's easy to downplay Americans. American athletes have become targets. It's easy to target and say what you want to say. There's no hesitation at all because right now there is no blowback. There's no blowback, right? Ain't nobody walking up on you and punching you in the face for the stuff you say, right? So you have no problem in saying it, right? I allow Sha'carri Richardson and what she said, call him a coward, try to get him locked up, thrown in jail because she made the mistakes and did what she did, right? But like I said, it gets worse. You thought that was bad. It gets worse. Now we got the MMA guru out there, right? Now he's a popular podcaster, very successful, been there with Demetrius Johnson and a lot of other spaces, right? Everybody don't know him, but he's pretty popular. A lot of people talk about him, right? I followed a couple of his stuff from time to time, because it shows up in my news feed. So it is what it is, right? But like I said, the situation that he chose to comment on was Roger Jackson, who is going viral for beating an unconscious man in a wrestling situation, right? I'm hearing mixed stories about what happened, how it got to that point, all that kind of good stuff. So I'm saying the guy hit him too hard and it got out of hand. A lot of things that was supposed to be part of the script to a certain degree. There's so much going on, you don't know what's what. It looks bad. Trust me. I've seen a couple of clips. It looks horrible, right? It looks horrible. And it's not a good look when you try to become a popular fighter. You don't want all attention is not good attention. Even that's what people say. People say good and bad is all the same. It's still attention. That ain't necessarily true, right? Depending on the situation, that attention can get you killed, get you locked up, to allow things to happen with the wrong intention, right? So you got to be careful of that, right? But like I said, MMA Guru saw an opportunity to turn this into a clickbait moment for him to say probably what he truly felt about certain people, right? He called him a monster, called him a beast, need to be locked up in a cage, right? That's not the road you choose unless you're trying to garnish attention and clickbait and get people to have some things to say about you, right? When you say those type of words, that's gonna get a response. Rampage Jackson responded, now it's responding, in a way that maybe he wanted, right? Because a lot of groups that target and focus on hate, right, is now in his inbox, is now supporting him, right? So now he's the face of hate to a certain degree, right? Because that scenario he chose to say and how he chose to say it, he could have said it another ways. It was still bad. Bad is bad. You don't got to choose words that describe a certain person, meaning a black person, right? When you say certain buzzwords, right, it can seem hurtful, and it can seem hateful, right? Some of the things he said can be considered hateful, right? Which means why he got so much attention from people who profit in hate, right? So if he wanted to get more followers and more people involved and pay for his podcast and get people, to follow him that think maybe like he thinks, then he got him. I don't know how true it is, but I know is he's been around long enough to be able to choose his words carefully, right? He's been out there in the game long enough to know what would get you shut down and what would get you targeted and what would get you painted in a certain way. So if his job was to pick up those groups, he got them. Kudos for him. Then he did his job, right? If he wanted to add hate to his group, he got it. That's what he wanted to do. He did it, right? Not taking what Raja did. What it did was bad. It didn't need to happen. It happened, right? And now he has to deal with the consequences of what he did, right? But Utah MMA Guru took the opportunity to go, I'm going to capitalize on this to be able to say what I want to say about a person live and get coverage from it, from those groups. That's what he got. Everybody's in it. From what I'm hearing, everybody's in his group. Everybody's in his chats now singing him praises. Who, for the most part, profit in hate. So maybe that's what he wanted. Who knows? Right? But you see how easy it is to just throw stuff out there, to do damage out there. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't mind shitting on people, right? When situations get ugly, I don't mind shitting on people, right? I didn't even get a chance to comment on the Roger situation because it got bad quick. It wasn't my job to hate the guy. I want to see what the hell happened so we can have a conversation about it. Because it looks bad. It looks real bad. Right? It's gonna cause long-term effects. He gonna feel this one. Right? But look how people are capitalizing on it. Right? Like I said, people like to make money off things going wrong and see an opportunity to clickbait and do what they do with it. But when it goes to a point to where people who are out to do real harm are on your side, that's a problem. Talking shit online and shitting on people online is one thing. But when you get to the point to where people who target on hate is now wanting to be buddy with you, you might have crossed the line a little bit. Who knows? We'll see. Right? But I had to get that out, man, because it's getting kind of crazy, man. Getting kind of crazy. Like I said, we've done great things in wrestling, but we're being overshined by all this other madness. Right? So we'll see. All right, this is Coach D. Doing what I'm doing, calling it like I see it, talking my share of shit. To hear from me again, peace out.